Huge shout out to Stefan.
Yeah.
Your woman loves you.
Yeah, Ruth.
Ruth is the woman, just to make sure.
Yeah, she sent us an email asking you to say happy 34th birthday. So Stefan, happy 34th birthday. And just know your woman did that for you.
Yeah, she went through a lot of hoops and loops
to
try and get to us and get you this message, man.
So thank you for following us, listening to the podcast and all of that. Happy 34th birthday.
Happy birthday, bro.
Hey guys, episode I don't remember. So, by the way, you get some credit with Strongfit if you can tell me the name of the 4 masters.
I had 2.
Yep, she had 2 out of 4, so I guess we're going somewhere. It's a passing grade, so there we go. And then she got -5 from saying Deadpool was Spider-Man. You did.
I thought that was Spider-Man.
You thought, that's my point exactly. You got 2 out of 4, which was very good because those 2 are hard to find. then she thought, oh, look, Spider-Man. I was like, all right, -5. Like she
got confident because of
exactly because that she looked at me. She had that little bit of hatred in her eyes, going like, I used to bully people like you in high school. Totally.
I was not a bully.
No. See what I mean? Like she's like, you fucking nerd. Like that's exactly what's in your life. Like you bunch of nerds. Anyway,
you are a nerd. You're proud of it.
I am proud of being a nerd, and you're like, yes,
I support you.
Exactly.
I even know half of the things that are on your
exactly.
Twitter.
Right. Anyway, right. So welcome to the Strongfit podcast. Today we have Janine. Can't say her last name.
Verhaar.
Whatever that is.
You can try.
Verhaar.
Exactly. That's really good.
There you go. I'm speaking Dutch now. Anyway, so we've been speaking about the sprinting drills that you have been making me do for 5-6 months now, I think. Yes, I talk about it on the Juliens Corner Podcast, on the videos of training and everything. And through that, we had a few people who are actually ex-sprinters that contacted me and say, hey, could you explain to me how you fix Janina's arm strings? And I was like, you know what, that will make for a very good episode. So we're gonna get a little bit through that. And I would also to cover a little bit of the foot drills that you have been making me do, because I talked about that in the last podcast with Paul. The progress that I've made through those foot drills has been, to me, to my own athleticism and everything, something I should have done a long time ago. And I want all fighters, and actually I want all athletes, people who train, to do. I think this is fundamentally lacking as a skill for most people, is the capacity to sprint, not run fast as in try to jog fast, as in running at full speed, which is not the same thing as running fast, I would say. There's a skill there that is very important, right?
Yeah. First of all, I'm super happy to see that the foot drills helped you a lot.
Yep.
Like, that was very exciting for me to see.
So it was rough at first, let's be honest. I still feel retarded. I won't lie. This is so hard to get.
It was so much fun to do with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, generally it was fun. But running fast is one thing, but sprinting has a lack of fear in it, which I think everybody should experience.
I like that's actually a very good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I like it. That is true. Like if you see people, there is a fear toward running at full speed.
I see that a lot in my running classes that I do, is that people are so afraid of getting out of breath, first of all, but also just like giving their all in something. And I think sprinting is the perfect example of that.
And you have to think fast. So you think it's probably middle, both, but physical fear, mental fear, because I've noticed with you and doing this is there's a mental fearlessness towards sprinting where it's just think fast. You have to think full speed, which means whenever we start running, it's 3 to 1. Like it takes me like half a second to go, where you're already gone 3 meters. I haven't even started. It's that capacity to go.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no, like it's almost like there's no thinking. Your body responds before your mind says anything. You know, like an insect that has a reflex thing.
Well, you see a lot of sprinters having that in their personality too. Like I definitely have that in my personality, like that thing. Yeah, but it makes sense that your body doesn't go like that, because it's such a risky thing to do, sprinting basically on the body, like to go like this. Like it takes a lot of the hamstrings, for example,
we're going to get to it.
And everything.
But it takes your feet,
your
like, core.
And especially if you're like, I see a lot of people in the society as like those lazy lions. You know what I mean? Those at the zoo. who are just chilling and getting meat like from the caretakers, and they don't have to hunt anymore. And then if you see like yeah, exactly. Like
kind of thing,
and
they're
then
not hungry.
They're not hungry anymore to really go out there and give their all to something, and especially physically, right? Like a lot of people are just out of shape.
But even people who think, to me, it's a perfect definition, running fast and sprinting. Is running fast, you see people jogging and then they go faster and faster and faster. Sprinting means 3, 2, 1, go. The second you say go, you start already at full speed.
Yeah.
That is a skill.
Yeah.
To start at full speed, I can't do it. Not yet. But what fascinates me on this is you have to think like that as first. It's thinking full speed, go. It's not a diesel, going to full speed, is starting at full speed. What fascinates me, that's what Paul asks me to do every week. When he kicks, it's not, no, it's pop, kick. Yeah. You're not even thinking, poof, your foot is already gone.
Yeah, and the hard thing is to do that without getting emotionally completely into it, in the sense of getting angry, or, you know what I mean?
And getting tight, by the way, and tightness, right? Yeah. You have to do that, relax, and emotionally stable and clear mentally. Yeah. Oh, there's a skill right there. Yeah. But there's a skill like I think you could use almost for anything in life. It's
such a great workout to apply to anything, for everybody basically. There is a lot you have to do before you can really get into it. That's the thing. You can't just go and start sprinting because
you'll hurt yourself.
You will hurt yourself. Like that's the down part of it. But I think it's something that at least you have to try, like mentally, to just go to a track or somewhere and just give it to you. But it's
so much harder than you realize until you do it correctly. Like having you in front of me running at what is not your full speed, but that constant on every drill, like the drills at first, by the way. Like to see you do the drills in front of me was one of the biggest wake-up call. I haven't had a wake-up call like that since Jiu-Jitsu. Like I choked on my first session. Or sparring with John Machado, where I always feel like a white belt, no matter what. That's how I felt like doing the sprints with you. At first, I was like, okay, I can do that. Oh, wow, like they can actually do that. Oh, I'm like, all right, 2 years, maybe.
But it was very impressive how open your mind was to it and how willing you were to know, but how willing you are to learn. Like you see a lot of people, especially when I teach, that go like, that's impressive, but they never put effort in towards learning actually. They rather keep it on a distance saying, oh yeah, that looks cool. But you really went into it wanting to learn, and that was really cool to have us talking about all the time. It was really
right. But there's something great there that even if you don't reach it, no matter what, you'll make progress.
Yeah, like it's mentally and physically for me, it's been 8 years now, and I learned so much. Like
I'll never be fast like that, but it's so much to learn. Yeah.
It helped me so much.
So let's talk about this a bit, because we met because I went to your father's shop, who sells coffee machines. Yeah. So people know. I mean, the people have seen the documentary. Then we started talking about espresso machines, and then he told me that you were a Dutch champion sprinter, and I was like, of course she is. That's how the universe works, right? And then that your knee was hurting. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'll take a look. Let's see what happens. So you come to me, and then your knee is hurting. Now, people need to know the backstory of that. So you start sprinting, you are 12?
I was 12. I was in, I had the PTA, you call that in English?
PE.
PE, or PE.
Like so school?
Yeah, school gym. And my first coach, Jules, it was amazing, came there to have a clinic, a track and field clinic, and we did a relay. And he saw me running, and he was like, "You have to come." I was like, "Okay." I always loved like working out, and I came and I started training. And what was it like? A few months later, I became Dutch champion for the first time.
So you ran your first race at 12?
Yeah, 12, 13. Yeah, it was
12, 13, and you've trained at 3 months.
Yeah, I was on his spikes of my coach. And it was a
use his shoes?
Yeah, I used his shoes. I didn't have spikes.
Shoes too big?
Yeah, they were like size 41, 42, and I was 12, 13. Yeah. That size like 39 or something, like 38.
And so how fast did you run?
It was 60-meter sprints. I don't know, I think 8. I have no idea.
3?
A little bit slower, I think, because I was really, but something like that. Like
8.5
I
at
don't
12.
even remember. Like I have to look it up.
Right.
I have one video of it. I remember somewhere. I have it.
People understand what fast means. Because we have guys talking to us, it's like, I run a 12.5. What was the first 100 meters that you ran?
I was on a track meet, and
Yeah.
you were supposed to attend when you were 16, and I
Yeah.
was 14. But my coach, he was so crazy, he was amazing, and he said like, go sign in and do a false.
So you say you were 16, but you were 14?
Yeah.
And you ran a
12:88 was my first 100 meters.
12.88 first, so under 13 seconds at 14.
Yeah.
Right, so when you're all like running a 12.5 at 20, that tells you where you are.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Like I finished, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? Like I was like,
it means you're fast.
and it was just amazing. Like the feeling of that was, it was cool because it was such an innocent way of running fast, but I would really like to go back to. There was
talent.
There was no pressure.
Running. Yeah,
it was
and
just
then
running.
Just running, right?
It was the most freeing feeling ever. Yeah.
And so you're 14, and I'm sure you're figuring out, hey, I got someone.
Yeah.
And so he puts you in Dutch championship every year. You win every year.
Yeah. So you had indoors and outdoors. I didn't run indoor actually. I ran mostly outdoors. I ran the 60. I won once or twice, and I won the 80.
Yeah.
I was at what I was 9. I was running in the 9 something high, and then I had won indoors again at 16 after my hamstring injury.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah. So
And
I
then,
ran
yeah.
every outdoor
60,
race.
100, 200. That was your thing, really.
60, 80 because
Yeah.
I was under 16 was 80 meters.
Yeah.
So I won that, and then we went to the 100 and the 200.
So, since we're talking about the hamstrings, first injury.
Yeah.
So you're 14,
No, I was 15 at the time.
15 at a time?
Yeah.
Right, and what happens? You're just running a race?
I was
Training?
no, I was in high school, my last year of high school, and I was invited to that school, and I was kicked out of my last school, and that was the only school that took me because I was good
That's
at
another
track,
problem. Yeah, exactly.
and I was just training, so that's why I got
Yeah.
kicked out of my second high school, and
So you did 3 high schools?
yeah, I did
That's good to
3
know.
in 4
Yeah.
4 years. I got my degree.
Yeah.
So they got me into that high school because I could run their competition.
Sounds like the American system, by the way. But
And yeah, it was not like
Yeah.
that. It was super innocent, really.
Sure.
And the guy was like the leader of the competition was amazing. Meneer Roos Harte was amazing. But I'm running that 80 meters, and before that I did long jump. I was really good at long jump too. I jumped
Of course.
like 2 or 3 times a competition. I jumped over 5 meters. Before I was 16, and I really enjoyed it. I was just like, okay, I will do that too.
This is where you realize that sports is not fair. Just some people can do shit that even training you won't do. But anyway.
Yeah, it was just.
At 14, I just jumped 5 meters. Doesn't everybody do that? No, not
It was
everybody,
just,
no.
at that time, I was just playing outside. I was doing all different types of things, and I
My
was
point
just
exactly.
track was just the one that spoke to me
Yeah.
because competition was just so much fun.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you beat everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did long jump before that, and I did shot put and everything, and I felt something in my lower back, and I'm super arch naturally, so I was like, ooh. So I think something moved around probably there. I don't know exactly what happened because at that time I didn't really see a physio. I just had my coach, and we were jumping from
Everything is
competition to
fine.
competition.
What could go wrong?
And we had a whole track team. We just were just having fun. So I go on the 100 meters, and I know exactly the track it was. It was in Almeida, and I start, and I had such a good race. Like I was going. I was like 20 meters in front of the rest because it was truly a high school competition, and I just show up there like national champ. I felt completely like that
Just
girl.
bearing everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so happy,
Exactly.
right?
And I come to
I'm gonna
the.
kill all of you. Yeah. You look
And
like
I-
my cat when you say that. But yeah, okay.
Anyway, 40 meters before the finish, I just fall on the ground, and yeah, that was it. I
So-
felt my hamstring.
I mean, not to go back there, but like, so did you feel the pop? Did you hear it? Did you?
I literally felt it.
Strong.
I felt
High, low?
it was here,
Yeah, so high.
the attachment, and I felt it, and I was just literally, I'm a drama queen, that's for sure, but I was screaming. I was in so much pain, like it was insane.
It hurts.
I think mentally more than physically, because that was a thing in sprinting. I was so eager to win always. I'm still really eager to win, but that feeling, I can still feel that 100 meter. Like it was, like you eat a big steak after not eating for 2 days.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and I felt it, and I knew exactly this is not good. And I was screaming. I could not stand up.
Like you fully tore your right hand, and you're right-handed.
Yeah. So I'm laying on the ground. I'm in a high school competition, so there is not even ABO. I don't know how you call it. Like no first care, nothing.
Aid, nothing. Yeah.
So
walk it off.
Yeah, like someone lifted me up, and I just.
Did you know what you had, by the way? You just
I'm 15. I'm just there. I know I'm fucked, and I'm thinking, fuck. I had such a good. I was just going, like I was. Fuck. I'm gonna miss outdoor season because it was at the start. It was March, so it was really cold, and you had to run in shorts, right? So it was just too cold, I think, too. And there was a physio of the club back then, sweetest woman ever, by the way, that I called crying because I had a phone number and my parents were not there too. So I was just...
Rough day.
Yeah, I was just with my coach, right? And my high school team. So I called her and she's like, come over. And my mom picked me up and we went there. And she was like, well, I see no bruise, so it's probably not popped. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I just rest for 6 weeks and I'm back at it, right?
Oh, so you did no rehab on it. Did you do any, not even massage, nothing? Like you did no work on the hamstrings? You just let it rest for 6 weeks?
Yeah, first she said you have to let it rest. And then I came back and we did I had a session like once every week or once every 2 weeks. And we did she checked on it. But she said she didn't really feel like there need to be like a picture or something.
So obviously no MRIs, but no just like touch it, there's no bruising, no, you're fine.
Yeah, she said if it's bruised in 24 hours, we have to maybe get it fixed. But if there's no bruise,
the Dutch are very
you're fine. I was like, cool.
Exactly. If you're not dying, you're most likely fine.
At that moment, I was just happy because I was like, yeah, I can still do it in the outdoor season.
And so
I thought maybe in 2 months I will recover.
6 weeks, and then you go back to training.
Yeah, so I visited her like once a week. Honestly, that's the moment where I started doing the physio every week or every 2 weeks. Yep. And she made me do some stuff on like the half ball. You know what I mean? Like to balance.
The Bosu ball?
Yeah, so that was
the way to fix the hammy was the Bosu ball.
Yeah. So that was about it. Still like no blame on the physio. Like
No, I'm not blaming the physio, I'm blaming the system. Don't worry.
So no, she was amazing. Like she's very sweet.
By the way, just so I mentioned this, you're a Dutch champion at the time. Twice already.
Yeah. No,
okay.
No more.
Yeah.
I had the 80 2 times and the 60 for sure.
So
at least around 3.
You're a Dutch prospect.
I'm an upcoming champ.
And they fixed your torn hammy by making you go on a Bosu ball.
Well, there's no real protocol. You get in and you're like, you just get your physio, and if you have a good physio, you're lucky. Like what I know now, there's certain physios that I would have gone to that would have given me different advice. This was just a local physio, you know what I mean? And she has the best intention ever, so...
No, I'm not blaming her. I just seen that the way they handle the youth athletes in Holland and other places.
Yeah.
I've seen that in America as well. I've been seeing always, I never understand. Anyway, so you go back to training. Yeah,
so my coach, at the time, he was like a second dad to me. He had dinner with him almost every day. Like he brought me lunch and everything. And we were super close. And I don't think he had the knowledge to know like how to rehab it either. So we went back to training. Like, you know how I am, right? So I'm like, well, if it doesn't hurt, I can basically train. And there's always something you can do, right? So even my hammy was popped, so I went to do my ab stuff. So I was still at the track basically every day or every other day to see my teammates because we were super close. And I did my ab stuff and I did some strength, and then I started getting into more strength because before that I didn't do any.
Wait. You did strength work, as in what? As in lifting weight?
Yeah. So that was...
Like what?
Yeah, so first it was just the core, and when I got back to running. So we did a lot of with the sled stuff. And then,
With a torn hammy.
yeah, so, yeah.
Did you lift weight like squats and deadlift and shit?
That was after that summer before, the late summer before I got back to doing indoor season. I got into my first sort of CrossFit workout. So we did deadlifts, we did squats, we did cleaning.
When you did the first deadlift, how long is it after you tore your hammy? I'm curious.
Well, I tore my hammy a second time.
Oh, right.
Before I even started lifting. So
okay, so let's go at the second tear. Yeah. So the first time you tear is in March.
Yeah.
And then you go back to training in May?
Something
April?
like that. Yeah. Well, I was never really out, so to begin with. So that was an issue. And then
so in April, May, you start training again?
Yeah.
You start running again? And when do you tear again?
Well, that was on the second practice. I felt my hammy right away. Same feeling.
Clean?
It was not ready. So I was like, okay, that's a sign I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So I went back to the physio.
And then you start
resting
lifting,
again.
doing deadlifts and squats.
Well, then I started resting, doing all the core stuff again. And then I was like, okay, I can't run much. So I'm going to go into lifting. And that went pretty well. So I sticked with lifting for the for the summer. And then in prepping to indoor season, I went back to running again.
And you tore a third time?
The third time I tore was after my indoor season. I became Dutch champion indoor again. So I had the second
another season on it, and then eventually you tear again.
Yeah.
By then you power cleaning how much?
By then I'm 16. So I power cleaned 80 kilos before I got 18. So I had a challenge with myself. So I started like at a new coach, and I made so many mistakes.
No, but
so I went back
people
to
understand how strong.
Yeah, like I went. So what happened is I got Dutch champion indoor on the 60 meters in 7:83, and I was 16 and I had one outdoor season out. And then I got injured again, and that was the moment I left my first coach.
So yeah.
So then I got to a new coach in Rotterdam. So that's when I started training there, and then he put me on a strength and 3 times running, 2 times strength. Well, which for me was a lot because I get to a challenge with myself. And around 17, I was learning to clean, and then I made a challenge with myself in March. So my birthday is May 27th, that before May 27th, I could power clean 80 kilos, and I did. So,
right. And so
cool.
How much you squatting at the time?
Oh, my first squatting, I remember when I was 16, my first squat attempt was 80 kilos. It was so cool. So eventually I was at my most strength that I did, I squatted 130.
And you were like, what, 17, 18?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And you deadlifted the same, right? 130?
Yeah, so I just deadlifted that,
How much did you bench by then?
Oh, I benched my own body weight. So I was 60 kilos, 65, something like that.
So at 16, you benched 65 kilos?
17, yeah.
17, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I did strength like twice a week, and that was so much for me because they were all like sets of 10 and stuff like that.
By lifting twice a week, you power clean 80, squat 130, and bench 65.
Yeah, but what I did notice is that I gained a lot of weight, and I didn't like it because it made me very tight in my running. So it worked really backward for me. Plus, I get into things, right? Like when I'm into lifting, I got so into lifting that running because anyway.
No, I want people to understand what talent looks like. Anyway, for any sport. Anyway, so we start training and everything. The first 2 months, I was making you do stuff, not understanding what I was looking at, because she was capable of strength level where I was like, there's no way that the right hamstrings were injured to the point where she can power clean 80 and you could go at the sled like crazy and stuff like that. Like, there's no way. So it took me, and that's my mistake, but it took me 2 months to truly test your right hammy. Because you told me, like, so first session we have, I do my typical assessment. I go over a little bit of the Strongfit system, and I'm like, okay, why are you here? Right hammy, that's easy. I go at it, but you can hinge, you're ridiculously strong. and you can push the sled and do all this. And my mistake at the time is I didn't test the hammy directly. And so, because I was like, well, she can do all those things, there's no way the hammy is as bad as she's telling me, which wasn't
I didn't
true.
even know the hemi. It was the hemi because I was 17 when I switched coach. I was 18 when I got to
Right.
you.
Wait. And you
So-
tell me, fix my right knee.
No, left knee.
But your left knee, right.
So the issue was is that I didn't feel the right hemi at all anymore. So I
Right.
didn't have hemi
Right.
issue. So I never thought that the
Right.
hemi was the issue. What happened is that I started competing again, and I had this base build because I did strength. I did a lot of basic conditioning, and I backed off of the short sprinting much. That was a system my new coach did, and I went. I started college and I went to Rotterdam. So it was a complete different routine. And my left knee started hurting to the point that I could only run with tape or dry needling twice a week.
You are right needling
Yeah.
your left knee twice a week. By
I
the
could
way,
not walk without feeling my knee, like normally walk.
right,
or
you felt your knee all the time.
Yeah.
That's what you came to me for. It was a
Yeah.
left knee, that's what your dad said. So,
Yeah.
because I want people to understand how
Yeah.
we treat young athletes, because this is in Holland, but I've seen the same in the US and everything. You can't walk around without feeling your left knee constantly. By then, you're 6 or 8 times Dutch champion. And that is seen as normal. That is seen as a price to pay to be a top athlete.
Yeah, it was. I literally had a. I'm not gonna call out anybody, but with a medical professional that
Trust me, I bitch about it all the time.
that they told me that if you want to be a high-level athlete, pain is included in that, and there was no.
That is true to a
conversation.
degree, but letting that dry needling the knee twice a week and not addressing the core issue, to me, that's asinine.
Well,
That's
at
a
that
sin.
point, like I can say that I'm not dumb. So I had conversation with my physios, like I switched physios. I went, what is the core issue of this as a 17-year-old? Because my parents are not really advanced in sports or anything. They're not at all. So
And your coach could not help on this either.
No.
He's a sprint coach. He doesn't know
Yes,
anything else.
yes,
But he's making you
yeah.
lift.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm also like, well, if I can dry needle and train, then it's not like the pain is not here today, so I can go.
But that's your job to do
Yeah.
that. I am, as usual, pissed at the way we treat gifted young athletes. Anyway, that's another podcast altogether. But so you come to me to fix the left knee, and it took me a while to test the right hammy. That's my fault. It took me a little bit too long. I should have seen it earlier. Anyway, one day we're in the gym, and I'm starting to realize that there's a problem with that right hammy. So you had told me by then you had torn, but I did not understand the extent of the injury. So I'm like, all right, let me see something. And I make you do, I remember, banded curls. I put the band on the yoke, remember? That yoke thing? And I make you do banded curls. And you're telling me, I don't feel anything. I'm like, I make you do a set of 20, like a leg curl, so hammies curls with the band, and you don't feel anything. And it took us 20 minutes, 10 sets of 20, 30, 50 reps for you to start to feel your right hamstrings.
Yeah.
It was that far gone. It took us 20 minutes just for you to feel a pump in your right hammy, which I did not understand at the time. I was like, because my mindset was there is no way a sprinter can run a below 12-second 100-meter sprint without hamstrings.
Yeah.
I did not understand, and I made that mistake so many times.
I was running a 7.6 by then already.
7.6.
On the 60, yeah.
And I made that mistake many times in my career. I'm not understanding how far talent can carry you.
Well, I didn't understand either because I was not feeling the hemi, so I was not in pain. So I didn't understand that it was not working.
Right, but how can you run a below 12-second 100 meters without hamstrings? That to me, it still fascinates me. That how strong the human body can go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
it can
takes
adapt
us,
like crazy.
Like crazy.
It's
So it takes
insane.
us 20 minutes to find the right hamstrings.
Yeah.
Right, just to you to file a pump. I still remember what you said and like, oh, is that what it feels like? And you were like, oh, I feel warm there. I feel all happy. That is so weird. That is so weird. Emotional mapping 101, that's a whole different thing. There might have been a few tears coming up. She's like, is that what it feels like? I was like, yes,
Well, there was a
that's
lot
your
of
right hammy.
crying.
Yeah,
There's
there
always
was
a lot of crying.
anyway. But at that moment, I was like, oh. And so every time we got the right hammy going, your left knee stopped hurting.
Yeah.
And then, so within a few months, focusing on the hamstrings, you don't need you don't need the dry needling twice a week. Then it was once every 2 weeks. And then before you know it, no more dry needling. And then your left knee stopped hurting?
Yeah. Well, the thing was that at the time that that I got to you is that I switched coach again, which was a coach that made me train so much.
Yeah.
And again, he taught me a few very valuable lessons and was,
To listen to your body was one of them. Yeah.
Well, I learned a lot from him, and I run really fast times under his name. So
and he almost broke you.
That too. Anyway, I'm not here to call him out.
Anyway.
But so I was training 8-9 sessions at that moment. At a week, and we didn't had all the capacity to really fix that hemi. So I think the best results I saw after COVID started last year, and I had a break.
Yeah,
and then I came really training here intensely, and we really started putting the real structure work in it. I think that in such a short time we made so much progress.
Right.
And
but
then
I want to explain something for people to understand, for the coaches and the athletes out there, is you came to me to fix the left knee.
Yeah.
Right, which is what we did by getting the right arm strings going. But that was step one. That was far from gone. So there's the problem, is at some point the left knee stops hurting, you don't dry needle, you don't even feel your left knee anymore. That's step one. So some people might have stopped there because your left knee is fine. But the problem is the right hammy, which is the core issue of everything, is still not ready to sprint at full speed. So that was really only step one. You cannot stop there. Then when I saw that, so there's different steps here. So first was activate the hammy so the left knee stop hurting. Once we got that, it's make the hammy stronger so we can use it in sprinting, in training.
That's a whole different
thing. And then after that, there's make the hammy strong enough that you can use it in sprinting, in competition. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
And we've been at it for 2 years. But don't get me wrong, I could not do what I wanted because that coach pushed you so
Otherwise,
hard.
we would have gone to it way faster.
But there was make the left knee stop hurting, make the hammy capable of handling a sprint session. That took us a while.
Yeah, because first the left knee was gone, and then the right hammy was working in the gym, but not at training, which meant that my left hammy was still in pain, or my left leg was still
let's go over
doing
this.
that.
So we had the step where the hamstring at first would not work.
Yeah.
Then the hamstring would work in the gym on the structural work we're going to talk about so people know what we did. So hamstring doesn't work. Left knee hurts. Hamstring works better, left knee doesn't work. Hamstring starts to work in the gym, doesn't work in sprinting. Hammy works in the gym, starts cramping, starts to work in sprinting.
Yeah.
So now we are at the stage where the hammy works during your sprint session. At first, makes you freak out.
Yeah.
And now we can have, and so the right hammy did not want to participate in sprint session. Therefore, your left hammy works extra, but the left knee doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But the left hammy is hurting because it's doing the work for the right. Now we get to the stage where the right hammy works, the left hammy doesn't work, but that's only in training session, it's not in competition yet. People need to understand all the steps necessary for your right hammy to work in competition so you can sprint at your best. We're 2 years in.
Yeah.
I need people to understand timeline and the step necessary to go from A to Z because otherwise, most of the time you would have just stopped, my left knee doesn't hurt, I'm done. Where the work hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
Started, but you know what I mean? We're not even close to being done, right? And we're not even in a competition shape right now. You're just in training shape. Finally, lately, you've been able to find your right hammy cramping during your sprint session.
Yeah.
You had 2 or 3 sessions of those?
No, I think since last December, I started really getting them sore in sprint training, which been
that's good.
Yeah, that's really good. Right now, they've recovered, but
But you feel your right hammy being sore now.
Yeah, both.
How long did that take?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years for both hammies to be strong at the same time.
Without also completely crashing from it, because there's a huge mental aspect of trusting my body, which I'm still not completely there yet.
Coming back from the trauma of the injuries.
Yeah, it's not just the hammy injury, but it's also the knee hurting. I had before the rehab, I almost every week there was something else that was hurting. It was either my feet, my calves, my left knee was always there, but there were always small pains. I haven't done a competition. I have never done a competition after my hamstring injury where I was carefree.
Yeah, they tell you it's normal. Which I disagree.
Well, that's also
it's to be expected, but that is not true that you have to accept it.
Well, there's a lack of expression too, because you're like, this was
you're Dutch.
That too. There's a lack of emotional and physical expression, which was a bit hard. But I was just thinking, this is a part of it, and I was so driven.
They say it to everybody. I'm joking when I say Dutch because I see the same thing in every country I'm through. But I think it's very important for people to understand all the steps we had to go through, and we're not even there yet.
No, because I haven't been able to compete because of COVID.
And plus mentally to be able to engage that, having competition, that's another step to take. So at first, so now we can explain I need people to understand the steps before we can go into what we actually did. So at first we went isolation. Like making you do banded curls. The reason we went isolation is because you could not use your hamstring in any other form of exercise.
Now I would go to here, everywhere.
I do not like to use isolation, but sometimes in a case like that of traumatic injury, it is necessary. Once you understood that you could actually engage your hamstrings, we started to go a little bit higher on the waist scale. So we started to introduce the sleds. She's doing the online seminar, so now you know what the waist scale is. She didn't give a shit for 2 years, by the way.
That's not true. I didn't know Strongfit at all for 2 years. That's not true.
When did you discover what Strongfit is? 6 months ago.
When I got in July, June, May.
Maybe 8 months ago.
A month before the thing. I didn't know.
No idea who I was.
Who cares? We didn't follow each other on Instagram. I didn't know.
She didn't even follow me on Instagram. Anyway, so
that's a different story.
That's a whole different story. So then we start to do the sled.
Yeah.
Right, and from the sled we started to go into Sandbags Squats first. Right, we went up to that Sandbags Squats.
No, carries first.
Carries
so
first.
we went to the curls. Then we did the crawling. A lot.
The harness.
The first harness. Session. You remember that I cute? Yeah. That was so much fun. We did that.
Yeah.
And I only did it on the ground, like the
harness with the hands on the ground and everything. Because I was trying to get the posterior chain, the glutes and the hammies going.
Yeah.
And you could you were falling to the side like crazy. I was like, oh my God, this is.
We have a video of that.
Yeah. This is I'll post it. This is far worse than I thought.
Yeah.
At the time, I really had a hard time mentally understanding that someone as fast as you could run on one leg.
It was crazy.
And first power clean 80 kilos, I don't get it. I don't understand. How could you possibly, it did not compute in my mind that you could do both.
Yeah.
And yet it was. So on the sled, I'm starting to go, shit.
Yeah.
And
because I was wonkling from this to this.
Yeah, and you were like this, you could not use the right side. So from there, I get you into sandbag carries.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm thinking, I can't make you do lifting yet. I can't make you do sandbag squats. I can't make you do especially the barbell. I was like, I'm not touching it for a long time. So we went into sandbag squats and your hips are completely shifted.
Yeah.
Because you would not use the right side. And so we keep working on it. I remember I made you do the bipolar squats. Remember when you put your foot on a plate? Trying to get your hips to balance out.
Yeah. And we did also a lot of stiff leg.
A lot of stiff leg because I was trying to teach you to hinge. Yeah. And then working through the obliques, always the obliques opener. Yeah. And then, so people understand the steps that we took. And then, so from the carries, we go into the sandbag squats. Eventually, we start to do the sumo. So we can start putting the hamstrings a little bit. My problem at the time is that you're seeing that asshole of a coach who is breaking you down with 9 sessions a week. So I was very limited in what I could do. So I always had to see how tired you were to see how much I could make you do.
Well, I got mostly there once a week, half an hour of talking, crying. No, it was not that rough, but I was just talking about how to approach the track because there was such a mental aspect to it too. And then there was a half an hour of
as much work I could do.
Because I was just getting pummeled, and I was so stuck in my way because I really it was almost like a religion that I thought that this was the thing that was going to bring me where I wanted to be,
which is winning,
which is succeeding as a person, and that was not the way because I was just refused to look at what I thought was necessary.
No, I totally get it.
Was necessary.
And very interestingly, COVID happens. It forces you to take a break.
Oh, I know you're not allowed to say that, but when COVID happened, I truly felt relieved. Like, it was crazy. That was the one that made me realize, like, okay, this is not good. Like, if you're happy that a pandemic starts and you're in lockdown, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, because you couldn't train.
Yeah, so I was not allowed to train, and competitions were at least for one season off. And I was like, because I was really
That's a whole different podcast altogether. Anyway, so now that you don't have to do that crazy training, you can actually start working with me on your structure.
Yeah, so we...
And then we started to do the farmer's walk, we started to do heavy sandbag carries.
That was in the second lockdown, because in the first lockdown, you didn't have the gym, and there were no gyms
So I just
open.
give you body weight to do. But on the second lockdown, you come to the gym here, and we start to do yoke carries, farmer's carries. We start to work on the actual structure, heavy sandbag carries, which is where you had the most progress. I gave you a 80 kilo sandbag, which of course you picked up and carried for fucking 200 meters or whatever it was. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, we have a video of you carrying the 100 kilo sandbag.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
For 50 meters. Anyway, and this is where you actually felt your right hammy and your glute the most.
Yeah.
You fell over backwards with the 80 kilo the first time because you were trying to go too fast. Because she took the 80 kilo, lifted it like it was nothing, and sprint 20 meters and back. And first of all, I was like, what the fuck just happened? And second of all, and then she fell because she was trying to go too fast. I was like, well, that's the first. But you almost cramped on your right hammy and right glute.
Yeah.
So that's when we actually started to make progress, is when we could work on pure structural exercises. Farmer's walk, heavy sandbag carries were by far the best one. Then I had to make you do the rope pulls because your upper body was not developed the way I needed. But that's when you started to make the progress. And that's when I saw you started to use the arm string in training. And then I was like, all right, now we're starting to make progress. Yeah. But I also saw how scared you were of feeling your arm strings sprinting. Yeah. That was another step. So we had to, again, feel the arm string in training at full intensity. So it was first isolation, then structural movement at full intensity in the gym before we could go into training, a little bit of hammy, then training full intensity on the hamstrings. Yeah. And we're not even in competition, which will be competition, little bit of the right hammy to competition full hammy engagement. There's so many steps to this when you have such a traumatic injury.
But I had no structure. That was the whole thing.
Right.
I came in from playing outside all day, running fast, to competition within 4 months. And I never did any structure building.
Can we talk about this a little bit? Because I find this very, very interesting.
So that's basically what we have done. Like, for example, the neck, because we haven't even got to the neck, which was
that's another one. But you know what I find very interesting is that idea of structure versus specialization.
Yeah.
I have been guilty for myself and my athletes of working so much on the structure that I forget that specialization is necessary to be good at a sport. You have to practice sports. There's no question. Greg Glassman was right. Do sports every week. In your case, and I've seen that in a lot of high-level sports, it's all specialization, no structure. So we were in Brazil, right? Yeah. And we're running on the beach. And we're going to talk about this. And we were talking about Proprio Grip, right? And that means that you have to run on the outside of your foot, not on the outside of the foot toward this part of the foot, toward that right or left outside pinky toe. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. And the sand forces you to go there. You are someone who's been training since you're 12 on only the inside knuckle so the big toe knuckle for sprinting. With spikes, it actually forces you toward this part of the foot, which is the inner part of the foot. That's what spikes do. They're very hard. They allow you to stay here. Why? Because toward the big toe knuckle, you can just hit the ground violently. What you do not have is the structure of the foot being built toward absorbing shock on the outside pinky. So we put you into the sand, and because of the instability, forces you to absorb some of the impact. So explosiveness and stabilization are both sides of the same arch. You worked all explosiveness, but never really full stabilization. So we make you run on the sand, and your Achilles gave up.
Yeah, like I never had
to the point where I ran faster than you on the sand. No? Are you going to put that on the podcast?
Lies!
Exactly!
Lies!
I disagree.
Liar!
We have a total different view on what happened.
I still won.
No, she
First
didn't.
of all,
Did you go run on the hard part?
let me tell you something.
Right. I'm running on the sand, she ran on the hard part.
Let me tell you something.
Right.
Because we run like the whole vacation, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
First time I beat you, we did the cycle breathing and everything.
You
and
beat me well.
on the way back.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you did not.
But you know what? If it makes you feel good,
No,
sure.
it's all right. Yeah, we don't remember that one at all the same. Anyway, yes. So what was interesting is that running here on the sand killed your Achilles, which I find interesting because when I started running here, like you were making me do, it murdered my Achilles. Mm-hmm. Like there was a stabilization, there was an angle of the foot I just did not know how to work. So your feet were hurting from running there, where my feet were running from working here. So I built all the base from doing like, all the strongman movement and everything. But when it came to explosiveness, specialization, I sucked.
Yeah.
You went the other way, which is all specialization, no structure. And this is where I see most of the issues is you have the guys that are very good at structure, not enough specialization, or too much specialization, not enough structure.
Yeah.
So this is where the arch and the tension is understanding which side of the arch you're leaning toward too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the sand, I think running on the sand will be excellent for you, better than for me, because you like that part. I need to keep working on the drills you give me, which is inside big toe, knuckle, and come on, go. So for me, the jumps are very important in that aspect.
Yeah, and what I saw from you, especially over the past months, is that you have such a strong structure that you can go to kickboxing, learn it in 3 months, and you're very talented. You can go to sprinting, pick it up so fast. You can go to boxing, like whatever you want to do, you can do that from that structure. And what was very interesting from that is that a lot of the top Dutch athletes, like the track and field athletes, that are good at one event come from decathlon. So they learn to do all the events, and that gives them a certain structure because you do strength, you do a lot of conditioning. And if you see like the times that I became the champion, you could not make me run 3 kilometers, for example.
Right.
You should be able to do that, right? Or like,
it's the S pyramid. That's the whole idea behind the S pyramid is that, And, but you know where I see a problem coming, and then we'll do more podcasts, but we'll stamp on this. But there's an issue that I predicted is going to happen. They are changing the shoes for sprinting. Now, all the shoes. And they are saying everybody's going to beat records and everything. You know what they're doing? They're fortifying this part of the foot by having shoes that are harder here, which allows you to explode more, less stabilization is required from those shoes. What do you think is going to happen? This is hyper specialization. They're going to start training with those shoes, which makes your foot go more toward here, working less and less the structure of the foot as is necessary. This will only lead to more injuries. Hip flexors popping, Achilles popping, hammies popping. I predict that those shoes will make people run faster and hurt a lot more athletes.
The only thing is that there's going to be a point that they're going to reach that there can't be any better without a certain base. Like I think... No. You know what will happen? They will train people harder, that will get injured faster, so the careers will be shorter and we'll have younger champions. Well, that's what you're seeing already. You see like a lot of young athletes making it right now.
And breaking earlier.
Earlier. But...
no, they won't fix it. This is the way the system has been going.
I'm not saying they won't, but at some point they have to see that there has to be a structure based in the...
Not necessarily.
Maybe they
American
won't,
football.
But they should.
American footballs, you see there's a lot of injuries from impact, but you see a lot of the wide receivers, the sprinters, tearing faster and faster in injuries like knees or stuff like that they should be able, some of those injuries should not happen. Yeah. It comes from the fact that there is no structural training in their training. It's all hyper specialization. And I fear in a track and field that is already very much toward specialization, they're going to start creating shoes toward hyper specialization. Training is going to just push that route where we're going to have shorter careers and younger champions.
Yeah, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, and we saw that in The Price of Gold. It's a documentary about the Swedish system when they took the decathletes. Mm-hmm. And if you saw, like Sweden did really good for 3-4 years and then crumbled again. They took all the athletes, just pushed the volume intensity, and then within 4 years, the entire generation and the one below was done.
Whoa.
So my fear is that this will happen. And so, but if we can raise the level of education overall, which is the only way to fight those things, I believe we can have athletes being able to come back from traumatic injury toward highly competitive things, which you were on your way to quit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You were ready to, because one more injury, you were done.
That's the thing. I don't know any athlete, it doesn't matter which event in track, that they didn't had a insane injury.
Traumatic.
Yeah.
We're talking like full-blown surgery, reattaching stuff.
It's very normal. It should not be normal, but it is very normal. But to really come back from it, and also running without fear is a whole different thing. Like, you can't do that with a few.
And we have to do a podcast on that.
Yeah.
Running without fear.
Well, yeah.
That's the title of your podcast right there, Alex. I love it. Anyway, people, S Pyramid,
fear.
And this is the title, Running Without Fear. Let's do more. Let's do more of those. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Thank you for coming on. Bye, everybody.
Bye.